Okay, so here is our HyperCard. Now, ASUS makes one of these. I've used the ASUS one. AsRock also makes a Gen 4 version. ASUS also makes a Gen 4 version as well that you can purchase outside of buying a specific motherboard. Like MSI, for example, their godlike, one of their godlike boards came with a HyperCard on it, so. Okay, so we got screws and we got standoffs and everything in here. Now, this particular card I have used for troubleshooting in the past because I was trying to isolate an issue. I actually ended up having a bad SSD, and so in the HyperCard that's actually in the Office server in that Threadripper system. So, okay. Not much, honestly, can go wrong with these HyperCards. It's just because of the fact that there's not much to it. There's a fan over here, and it's just a PCB with X4 PCIe lanes on it that go into an X16 slot. That's really all it is. It's pretty much directly addressable card. It doesn't... It's basically a riser card is really what it is. It's not... There's not really any logic or anything to it other than the fan, which actually has an on-off switch on the front of the card. So, and then you have light indicators for if the for which drives are installed or recognized. So, right there. Okay, and these are P1 screws. So, well, this is a P0 screwdriver. Are they P1? P0? I think they're P1, but P0, the Gamers Nexus P0 works really well for these. And you can see how I'm holding this, and it's just because of the fact that if you don't hold it like that, or you do that, or don't disassemble this on a flat surface, once you take these screws out, there's nothing to hold the cover on there, which doubles as the heatsink for the SSDs. So, which is just a big giant block of aluminum, but it does work. Voila, there you go. And then of course there's our thermal pads for our SSDs. Okay, I'm just gonna set it right there like that. So there's our fan. This is the power supply and the logic for our fan. And then we of course got a separate power conditioning and everything for our individual SSDs. So, alright, now this card will run up to 22 110 SSDs. So if you got the big super size SSDs, of course we're just using the pretty much run-of-the-mill standard 2280s. So we have to put our standoffs in. Okay, so don't lose your M.2 screws or your standoffs because they are well, I should say they're specific to ASUS. They're not specific to this card. So I'm going to take your 2280, mounting point. Put your standoff in. And of course it's just your standard 5mm. And you just want to snug it. You don't want to wrench it down, just snug it. And then do that all the way across. Okay, so once you got the hard part done, okay, so then you're gonna screw all these guys down. Voila. Now, the only thing I can see on this one is on this last one, I can see a little bit more of the pin sticking out than I do on these other three. So I'm going to loosen this one up. That I can also tell I've got less notch over here than I do on the other three. So, probably move this just a hair. So make sure it goes in like that, and then there, that's better. Because you can get those in there just off enough that they won't recognize. So, and it has happened to me before. Okay, so then go ahead and make sure you take your peels off. Your lime green thermal strips. No, these are not sticks of gum. Sorry, don't want to eat these. Just saying, because they're silicone. Okay, and then you just line it up. And you can kind of slide it until it drops in, because it is basically keyed, sort of, with the fan. I mean, the fan kind of acts like a key. So then you just make sure your mount holes line up. And then you can tighten this all down. And when you get it tightened down, you can feel it suck in. So, there. You can look right in there like that, and you can see that our thermal pads are making contact with our SSDs on the one side. Not on the air side because it's closed off. So, but yeah, that's it. And we just take our card here and push this up here. We take our card and we just slide it right in our slot, like so. And that's it. Only thing we'll have to do from here is we'll have to, it all gets completely powered off the PCIe slot. These SSDs, I think they're like 5 watts a piece, or you're talking 20 watts. Most PCIe slots will can take a maximum of 75 watts, so we're well within the power limit of the PCIe bus on this. We'll put our screw in here and lock it down. And of course it does lock down like a standard graphics card, so it will lock into the locking tab in the back, so that way it can't come up. So, and that's it. We'll go into the BIOS and we'll show you how to turn that, bifurcate that PCIe 16 lane, 16 slot into a 4x4x4x4 slot. So, but yeah. So that's it for that. On to the BIOS. And so let's get started. So you can see here we got our disk 0 and our disk 1, which is our the two SSDs that are on the motherboard. And those are all mirrored up and ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and we'll restart the BIOS. Let me show you how to do this. It actually does not take very long. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can see we're in the BIOS here. So we've got our 128 gigs of RAM, all 16 or all 8 DIMM slots are populated, and it's a 7351P 16 core, which is the performance model. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into advanced, and then we're going to go into, I don't remember here, I believe it's chipset configuration. Yep. And we're going to go into our PCIe slot 1 width, because remember this board's actually numbered backwards, so it's numbered from the bottom up to the socket. So and we're going to change this X16 to 4x4x4x4. And that's all we have to do. It's literally that simple. What that does is that then bifurcates the 16 slot into 4 independent PCI Express 4 slots, and then each SSD has its own dedicated channels directly to the CPU. So, okay. Alright, so there's that. And then from there we can just go ahead and hit F10, hit yes. You can also do this on, let's see, some really high-end Ryzen boards you can do this on. I think almost all of the Threadripper boards you can do this on. Because Threadripper is not really much different than EPYC for the most part. So, but yeah, actually works really well. So we'll let it go ahead and boot up here. Let it boot. And we'll log in. disk management. And now, and it's already found our other drives over here. So we can just go ahead and set those up as MBRs, which will be perfectly fine because it's going to change anyways. You can also see we've already got our Hyper-V installed. So we're just going to get that all set up here eventually. Down, maximize that. And we got our 4 drives over here. All we have to do is we're going to make a new RAID 5, hit next. I'm going to add these all over, hit next. Yeah, I can stay E. It'll be fine. CT. DB. Format that. And it's going to go ahead and change these to dynamic automatically. And they're pop related into the RAID 5. And they've already formatted, and now they're resynchronizing. So it has to go through and it has to address each drive individually, and it has to put that into basically a database for the RAID 5 parity information. So, okay. So we got all that, and then we can go here. And we can see there's our CT database drive, and we've got almost 3 terabytes of usable space. And there you go. So, because it's 4 drives, on a RAID 5, you're going to lose so however many drives you have, you're going to lose 1 because that's going to be the parity information. So on a RAID 5, you can do RAID 5 anywhere from 3 drives to a realistic maximum is 6. Although in most implementations, most people really don't do anything more than 5, and if they do, then they do a global hot spare for the 6th drive. So you basically have a drive that's just sitting there in park waiting to be implemented. Which in server, you can't do a global hot spare, unfortunately. It's just not an option. So what I always recommend people do, especially with a medical server like this, is we'll actually end up with another RAID 5 set on here, but then we're going to have a single 10 terabyte drive that's going to back up the entire machine on this. So, okay. And that'll do a sequential backup every night on that. So, there we go. So, we're going to go in here. And we're going to run a speed test across that and see what we get. I would say, honestly, that is pretty stinking good. So, if we open up another instance over here, and then we do that across our C for the same amount, change some settings on this just... change it to NVMe. Let's see if that makes any difference.
Okay, so I'm thinking this must make a change in the... oh, yeah, it does. Okay, so this is single-threaded performance, and then this is multi-threaded, so we're running 16 threads on here, and then it's single-threaded on here. So that's why this number is so much higher, because we're running 16 threads of data across that drive. So, because it's NVMe, and you could do that. So, that makes sense. Okay, so that's why this number is so much bigger. So, alright. Okay, and that's it. So, yeah, we do see, yeah, about a 10 times improvement because of the thread level. So, yeah, so you get a more of a real-world idea of how fast the drives are actually running with that multi-thread benchmark thrown in there. So yeah, the difference of their main difference of why you want to run NVMe versus SATA of any kind. So there you go. All right, well that's it for this one. So yeah, if you're building a server and you're thinking you need a whole boatload of database, high-speed database storage, this is a really good way to go. And of course, even with this, we've got, I think there's 5 PCIe 16 slots on this, so you could do 5 of those controllers, or of those hypercards on this particular machine, if you needed that kind of super high-speed storage. So, yeah, works pretty awesome. All right, well, like, share, subscribe if you like this video. If you did, tell us why. So that way we can keep making more of this content that you seem to guys like so much. So a quick shout out, by the time this goes up, we should be at 50,000 views on the channel. So thank you so much for watching. It's really been fun, and we're going to keep trying to do this. And you can tell my voice is a little on the froggy side today, and I'm getting over this cold. So we're going to try and get more consistent with putting out content for you guys. So it's a little less helter-skelter. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye for now.